Leadership or control? Will you make your Filipina run away? Tonight, we're going to test something that makes a lot of men uncomfortable. Is it leadership or control?
Are you a leader or are you going to make her run away?
Tonight, we're going to talk about when does leadership become control and what are the consequences? You know, Filipinos are so easygoing, non-confrontational. They're so get along. Everybody's about saving face. Tonight, we're going to find out whether you really understand culturally. Chrissy's going to share with you whether your style of leadership could lead to your Filipina running away.
In age gap relationship, especially here in the Philippines, there are a lot of expectations, and one of these is that the man leads and the woman follow.
Is it protection or possession? Is it structure or suffocation?
And here's the dangerous part, Rob. Sometimes control feels good at first. You know, you will feel that control is security, protection. But after 5 years, it's going to feel like suffocating.
We're going to go through 10 scenarios that we see here in the Philippines, the type of scenarios that expat men might roll out with their Filipinas, and you are going to evaluate these scenarios and tell the audience whether it's leadership or time to run out the front door, because it's controlling behavior, right? You know, a lot of men are looking for the type of woman that is from 1965. They want to time travel back into time and find that unentitled woman, the woman who accepts their gender roles, the woman who does the housework. And it's so true here in the Philippines, there's so many of these women, low body counts, and they don't want to go to nightclubs. You don't buy clothes at the mall. You don't want to go out. You don't drink. But you don't like being bossed around either.
No. Well, a lot of Western men are still holding on the belief that Filipinas are very submissive, that this is the stereotype of being a Filipina. You're going to be submissive, but not all Filipinas, especially nowadays in the new generation that are showing their submissiveness, you know, like a lot of them wants to lead as well sometimes.
Yeah. So, Chrissy, we use this analogy of flying an airplane. I don't want to sit in the back seat and have you dictate where we go and how fast we get there. I want to be in one of the two pilot seats, and I've invited you to be my co-pilot. But it's challenging sometimes. I want to decide where we go, and one person has to finally make a final decision sometimes. But I do try and ask you to join me in the cockpit and be my co-pilot. So we're going to give these 10 scenarios today. How, by the way, how do I do it? That sometimes good, sometimes not so good?
Yeah.
It's so.
Well,
más o menos.
When we say leadership or control, sometimes there's just a little difference.
Yeah, because, well, and you know, listen, even in an airplane, one person has to wear the captain hat. You can't have two skippers on a ship. You know, the airplane's going to go down if people are fighting over the steering wheel too much. So co-pilot means, you know, you're going to have a very detailed discussion. But at the end of the day, whether to buy a new car, whether to buy a house, whether to spend money, it's got to be a final decision if no consensus can be reached. And that comes down to leadership, but it can feel like control. So let's take a look at and by the way, Chrissy, we're up here in the Bukidnon Mountains, and we're filming a little more footage for our next property update, which is coming. And the last time we filmed it was in the afternoon, and the bees and the flies were buzzing around and the camera was breathing. And we apologize for that. It's not normal that the camera will try and focus on it's possible it's happening again. So bear with us. We try not to use a fixed lens. And yeah, so here we go. Let me go through these scenarios for Chrissy. All right, leadership or control. Number 1, no male friends. That's what we're calling this guy. He says, I don't want you having close male friends. He explains, I've seen how that ends. He pays the bills. He feels protective. Leadership or control. Does jealousy feel sexy until it feels like surveillance?
I think if the man will say, I don't want you to have male friends, that's control. But if he will say, you know, it's not ideal that you're gonna have male friends, that's leadership. You are not you are not dictating her what to do, but presenting to her what is not ideal.
What if there is a friend of the family, maybe he has children, you grew up with a family next door, and he's not your cousin, but he's always at family birthday parties. He's been a close friend since you were young, and your 65-year-old foreign boyfriend says, I don't like this at all. I don't want this guy at the parties. I don't want him at our house when we throw parties. I don't want you to be so close to him. What are you going to say about that?
At first, I would understand because it's our culture in the Philippines, to treat other people your family even though they're not. And for you, you're gonna be culture shocked when you witness that kind of situation, relationship with other neighbor. But I think as a Filipina, as long as the Filipina understand the culture in the West, she will not find it very controlling. She will understand that it's different from the West and here in the Philippines. So I think it depends on how deep the knowledge or understanding of your Filipina. If so shallow, then she will find it very controlling. But if she understood a lot of your culture, she will find it just fair.
So you're sort of on the fence. It could go either way. Let me ask you a social media question. What if you have men that are friend requesting you, that are, photographers from the wedding, or people who are friends of friends, and they see that you're a YouTuber? What if he says, I don't want you accepting friend requests on social media from men? Even like his guy friends, what would you say?
It kind of fall to becoming controlling, but
what if he says, I won't accept any female friend requests from the Filipino wives of my friends?
That's not going to be controlling. It's just a fair game. Because like if you're accepting female friends on Facebook and I'm not allowed to, that's controlling. Okay. You're the one that's holding the control. I can do this, but you can't.
So this is we have 9 more to go, so stay around. But let me ask you this. When we got to the Philippines, most of the expat friends that I met, their wives had access to their phones.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's like, I've had girlfriends, I've been divorced 11, 12 years, and nobody's getting access to my phones. I don't want to go through 15 years of emails and 15 years of photos and have to cleanse. It's a huge job. And I just want to be in a relationship where I'm trusted. But somewhere along the line, Chrissy, about a year into our engagement, you were rattled quite often. You didn't know what I was doing on my phone. You were worried other Filipinas would be trying to approach me. And I gave you access to my phone. And ever since then, things have actually been much easier.
Yeah,
Is that controlling or leadership by the woman?
Like, am I controlling?
Well, I think that jealousy in general here in the Philippines is a problem, and it's a level of jealousy you don't see in the West.
Yeah.
And so how do you shut it down? How do you make it stop? It's a little controlling, but maybe it's leadership. I don't think there's a comment below. Would you allow your Filipina to have access to your cell phone? Not your banking, but your social media, your texting, your photo library. Would you? Is it a crazy idea that the vast majority, I think the group we hung out with the first few years we were here, would you say 90%? I was like the only one who didn't do it.
Yeah, I think the one that I noticed that doesn't have any access to their phone are just those new in the relationship. So I think I did not really require you to give me the access.
You didn't insist. It was not an insistence.
That was not kind of controlling, but you did it yourself. So that is leadership. Like you think that this thing could go well if I'm gonna do this.
Comment below your thoughts. It's a very controversial topic. Okay, let's go to the next one, Chrissy.
Yeah.
I approve all family payments. Remittances. The man number 2, in this man, he says, I'll help your parents, but I decide how much and when. He tracks everything. He calls it financial discipline. Is that responsible or restrictive? Does generosity need permission?
I would say it's a kind of leadership, not really controlling. Yeah, it's leadership. That's, there's nothing wrong with it, actually.
But how do you feel if, like in our relationship, you were a teacher, you were making like $400 US dollars a month.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to live my retirement alone. And I had a vision of us doing a passion project like this. But I didn't really want to spend 6 days a week at home and you out to dinner with your workmates and going away on seminars. So I said, hey, I'm going to give you a portion of your salary to stay home. But then when a family member needed $20 or $40, you didn't have to ask me.
Yeah, that's a good leadership. I think you build that system, and I think it's an ideal system that the guys would follow. Like, they don't have to be the one that will decide how much they're going to give to the parents and all this. I think what they need to do is just give a stipend to the Filipina, and then it's up to the Filipina how she's going to handle it. And
now that we're married, you know, the way it works is when people have small requests, you just do it out of your own. And but when someone's in a hospital or somebody needs $50 or $30 once every 3 months or so, you usually come to me and we talk about it.
Yeah, I think I am seeing now the difference of being a leader and a controlling when it comes to like financial. And he will say, this is what we're gonna spend for this, for your family. This is what I want. I don't want more, I don't want less. That's the amount. But on the leadership is that you made a system of, you know, like it's up to the Filipina how she gonna handle it, but that's it. You know?
I think if you don't give your Filipina a stipend, she can't buy street food. She can't help a classmate out with $10 without asking. She'll get stupid requests for money that you would say no to because you feel like people are freeloaders. If she can't buy street food, buy herself a little trinket, splurge on some wasteful thing, it takes away the dignity of the person. I think they will feel controlled. Don't you agree?
Yeah, like every time she needed something, she need to ask you first, and you're gonna say, how much is that? That's too expensive. I'm not gonna buy it. That's controlling. But giving her this amount and let her manage it, that's leadership.
Yeah. Okay, next. No social media selfies guy. He says, you don't need to post pictures like that. He claims, I don't want other men looking. He likes modesty. But is it modesty or insecurity wearing a business suit? Now, Chrissy, at the end of most of our videos, you dance Zumba.
Yeah, you shared it to the world.
You were cleaning the windows in the patio the other video back, and you are the editor, and you're the one who kind of cobbles together all our footage and makes the final edits. And at the end of the videos, you usually say to me, should I put in Zumba? And I'm like, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. She sometimes does dances on social media. They're not the kind of provocative dances when nobody's doing anything that I would call unseemly. And but you know, it's a challenge for me, Chrissy. I don't want to be controlling. Am I crazy about it? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Especially on social media, if you and a friend are out, you know, looking beautiful and taking a picture at a restaurant to post on social media, I'm not crazy about it. And I think you draw the line where you are not aggressive and you're respectful to our marriage. But what do you say to this guy? He's like, hey, this selfie nonsense. In the Philippines, when you tell a woman not to post a selfie when she goes to a 5-star resort, or she's looking all beautiful because you're taking her to a party, those are fighting words.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned draw the line. I think being controlling is that you're just gonna stop. You know, you just want the woman to stop doing what she, you know, used to love doing. That's controlling. But being a leader, I think what you're gonna do is just draw the line. You know, like, okay, you can do this, but no, it's up and down. And then you have to explain why. You know, I think that's why I said that there's a little difference, because sometimes being a leader could fall into, like, you know, could appear like you're being controlling.
What do you think, guys? Where's the line? No sexy dancing on TikTok, no bathing suit pictures at the resort, no glamour shots all made up looking like $1 million that is going to generate a lot of. Where is the line? Comment below. Okay, next, Chrissy. Number 4. Dinner at 6 every night. He expects routine, a clean house, structure. And he says, I like order. Is predictability, stability, or dominance?
You know, in the Philippines, we call it military discipline. And you know, in the military, it's all about control, command. control, command to the lowest ranks, right?
Yeah.
And it's very visible that the higher officers are the one in control.
Yeah.
So that's very controlling.
You think it's this person may, after 5 years, she may be running out the gate out in the road.
Yes, it will make her, it will make his Filipina very uncomfortable being, it's like a puppet. Like being controlling is like playing a puppet.
But Filipinas are like domestic, and they embrace their female gender roles, and they want to please. And if he's a grumpy old man, he wants his dinner at 6, she'll probably give it to him at 6 most nights, right?
There's a lot of patient people in the world, but there's an end to that. They will have enough at the end of the day. Like, this is not gonna work anymore. Like I've been always patient, and I feel like I'm being taken advantage of being patient. And one day she's just gonna explode.
Now that's if I had to do these by myself and guess your reaction, I would have guessed you would have said this is leadership. It was okay.
No, it's very military.
Too military. Okay, next. You don't need to work. He provides fully. He says, I want you focused on us. At first, romantic. 3 years later, isolation. Is this leadership or long-term leverage? Now, Chrissy, let me tell you, before you answer, I want to tell you, one of our we interviewed a gentleman once, and he mentioned he brought a 23-year-old Filipina to America, and he was in his late 40s. And she got a job at a big department store 10 days after she landed, and he said the marriage lasted like a year. But he had a friend who brought a Filipina the same age to America the same month, and they lived in this rural area, isolated in the woods. And I don't think he chained her leg to the kitchen table, but he didn't let her work. 20 years later, they're still married. So what do you think about this man? He's like, I want you focused on us. You can't work. And he really kind of isolates you in the house.
It really depends on how the approach was. Like if he said, I don't want you to work, I want you to focus on us. It will sound very, very controlling, like you're controlling her career, you're controlling her passion, things like that. But when it comes to because we're gonna do a passion together instead of you working.
Maybe make a baby.
Yeah. We're gonna do this instead, that we will share, we will work together. I think that's leadership. But for just to stop working alone and
Okay, so let's say he brings her to America. He doesn't want to make any more babies. She has no children. She's like, oh, you have money and you want to bring me to America. No problem. I don't want any children. I'm 24. I don't need children. I got nieces and nephews. She leaves her 17 cousins and 23 brothers and sisters at home.
Yeah.
She travels to America. He puts her in the woods in Minnesota, and he doesn't want to make babies. How's that going to work?
Oh, that's difficult if she didn't have baby yet. Very difficult. Like every woman, if she's a woman, she wanted to be a mother. Yeah. It's part of being woman, to become a mother. And for a woman that doesn't have a baby and, will not give her a baby, that's very difficult. Maybe some other party woman would like that, because so that by that they don't have a baby, so they can
travel.
They can travel around the world. They can party whenever they want, and
so it depends. It depends on how you roll this out. Like when I first met you, I told you I didn't want you working, and I would make up, the majority of your salary.
Yeah.
You could do with it what you want, but you had to have this moment where you thought, well, I'm going to spend like 7 days a week, 24 hours a day in the house with this older guy. All my friends from work are going to be gone. My family lives in another city. What did you think? You didn't know we'd be doing YouTube and having hundreds of subscribers that want to meet.
But I was sure that we're gonna travel a lot, so that's what I thought. Like, okay, and nowadays, because I've been thinking, nowadays there's already a lot of things you can do online. That's not gonna take your time with your husband.
All right, so it really depends is what you're saying, right? You got to play this one carefully if you're going to make her give up her job and you move her away from friends and family. Maybe this is why so many men, they want their Filipina's family to be maybe an hour away. And so many men don't really choose a city in the Philippines to retire in as much as once they find a Filipina, they bring her not too far from her family.
Speaking of family, I heard from some other Filipinas as well that their man will say, I don't want any family member in my house. I don't want you to go home and take a lot of time gathering with the family. I really find it very controlling.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's gonna take away the, you know, the what you used to do before that you really love doing, it's gonna appear like very controlling. Like if you're gonna put the woman into a really, really tight box, she will feel controlled.
Yeah.
But if you will have a line around her, she's in the box, but she can move freely.
Yeah.
I think that's leadership. As long as the two of you are in the box together.
It's fun in the box. Okay, next. I travel alone twice a year. He says, I need my independence. He expects no questions, no drama, no suspicion. He funds everything. Is that mature freedom or double standards?
I don't know. I think it's a double standard. I don't find it didn't fall to controlling, not even in her leadership. It's kind of like loose, you know. It's very loose.
It sounds like controlling because it's what's good for the goose is not good for the gander.
It's just very loose. He gonna travel
Twice a year, no questions.
Twice a year, no questions. It means if her Filipina will also travel during those times.
Yeah, I don't think so. I
No
think
questions.
she's chained to the kitchen table at home when he goes away.
So if the agreement is like, I will travel, you stay in the house, you're not allowed to wander
Yeah,
around while I'm gone. Oh,
yeah.
that's very
And
controlling.
he needs to know where you are at all times.
Oh no. But if he will say, I'm gonna travel twice a year, and also during those times, you can go wherever you want, that's loose.
Yeah. This one's not on the list, but what if he likes to drink, but he says you can't? In general, how would the average Filipino respond to that double standard?
They will say, you're so controlling because they're drunk.
Okay. All right. No nights out without me. He says, I don't like late nights. He frames it as safety. She frames it as trust. Where does protection end and monitoring begin? We've had a somewhat similar situation here. We met a group of expats here, and their Filipinas once a month would like to rent a resort an hour away from town in the mountains, sing karaoke, have a party, spend money, drink liberally, let's say, would be honest. I don't really know if they got drunk. You know, men, comment below, but I was married, happily married for 25 of 27 years, and the marriages that tended to end were the ones where the wives went away for a one-week vacation with their girlfriends. Those marriages never seemed to last at the same percentages as the ones where the wives stayed and went on vacation with their husbands. So when we fell in with this crowd and they asked Chrissy to join, Chrissy sings karaoke like an angel. They all wanted her to join, but she doesn't drink. And you know, you lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. I'm not saying these people were dogs, but I'm saying they drank. So if you hang out with people with a drinking habit or other habits, you could pick up those habits over time. And I wasn't keen on it, but I had said to you, it's your decision. But you felt like you knew my opinion, but I didn't tell you no. But all the other women thought it was me saying no.
So there's a way of saying no to a Filipina that will not look like you're very controlling. Like what you always say, it's really up to you, but I would say it's not ideal. You know, like this is the possible negative things that could happen into a relationship. You're gonna present the negative things, and then at the end you will say, but it's up to you.
But all those women and their husbands, they all thought I was controlling because I told you it's not ideal.
Because I follow what's for good.
If you had gone, they wouldn't have thought I was controlling.
Yes.
But because you decided not to. And we were newlyweds, and it wasn't ideal for you to disappear once a month with people to drink.
I always think myself on the other foot. Like, would I want my husband to go away with other husbands alone without us and drinking? No, I don't want it. So, will I do it to my husband? No. Mark this spot on the video. This is what a quality Filipino will tell you. That's what I think. This is gold right here. Okay, next. Chrissy. I control the bank account, he says. Well, you control the bank account.
All assets in his name. Now, that's not true for us.
Yeah.
An allowance system or a stipend system. She doesn't see the full financial picture. He says, I'm protecting both of us. Is that wisdom or a power imbalance?
You just mentioned you found the gold, right? I think it depends on...
Well, our own situation. You do get a stipend to do with what you please. The bongo truck is in your name. I could have put it in my name. The land that we're standing on right now is in your name because it's the law in the Philippines. The house that we're building, we've been showing them, is community property. And on the deed to the land, it's noted that the physical structures belong half to the husband and half to the wife. And if Chrissy tried to sell the property, the buyer, if they bought it and didn't notify me, I could rescind the contract within 5 years. I could fight it. And so, so I don't put all the assets in my name, but big picture financial, I tend to manage the budget. I tend to manage the big expenditures.
Yeah, that's... what do you call this? Like, I got access to your phone, but never to your banking.
Okay, next. You must respect me publicly.
That's
no disagree. Let me lay out the scenario here.
You must respect me.
You must respect me. It's my turn to lay out the scenario. No disagreeing in front of others. No correcting him socially. He says, I'm the man. Cultural or ego? Now, let me say something. I think Filipinos don't like to be disrespected in public.
We don't.
They don't want to be corrected in front of other people. They don't want you to raise your voice so other people can hear you on purpose. In the Philippines, talk about thin skin. Filipinas and Filipinos in general, you know, if you ask for a receipt, be careful, you may have offended somebody. So what's your answer to this?
I don't think you have to present that rules in the relationship. I think it's like a learn that you should not do that in front of others to your other half, like correcting them that they're strongly wrong in public.
So this is leadership and not controlling.
It's when you say that do not disrespect me to the public, it's not controlling. It's just like presentation of
good standards. Good standards for a good marriage. Nobody should do that to anybody, really.
Yeah, and anybody should know that to themselves, that I should not do that, even though the other will not tell you not to do it.
And what would you say to the men if they don't take heed to this in terms of the other way, the shoe on the other foot? What's likely to happen if they embarrass their Filipina?
Well, good luck to the 5 days tampo.
Okay, number 10, the final one. Intimacy on my terms. He says he expects availability, affection, physical consistency. He says a man has needs, Chrissy. She says, so do I. When does desire become obligation? Is that leadership or entitlement?
Entitlement.
It's entitlement.
Yeah, presenting your needs.
They sound like demands, maybe.
Yeah, it's like very demanding, like, you know, like, because it's not all the time that your Filipinas feeling good, feeling well, you know, and it's different. Men and women are really different, because man, even you're sick, you're still should I say that?
You're still ready to roll.
Yeah, you're still ready to roll even you're sick. A woman, when she's sick, it could affect her hormones. There's gonna be a lot of, you know, like emotional.
Okay, but Chrissy, a lot of these men are coming out of broken relationships, and I've had men tell me they haven't had relationship in 20 years, or the ex stopped participating in one of his favorite things, and he got, you know, leftover, a meager portion, infrequently and meager, and now it's his last chapter in life. He wants to vet the Filipina. He wants to make sure he found the right person. So yeah, the chemistry's great, but he's worried there's only one cigarette in the pack. You know what I mean? He's expecting to get 20 cigarettes a month, but he bought the cigarettes, there's only one inside. What do you say to the man? Up front, he's kind of letting you know that he really doesn't want to enter into a relationship without a lot of intimacy.
It's gonna be scary.
Scary?
Because, you know, you don't really know what's gonna happen. Like, I would say a woman will be naturally intimate towards you when she feels comfortable and good
Yeah, I
with
agree.
you.
Yeah.
But if the man is kind of like bossy, demanding, or he's, you know, like he's disrespecting her all the time,
Yeah.
how could she feel intimate with you and wants to, you know, make love with you if you're like that? So it should please her emotion, her mood, for her to, you know, reciprocate.
You know, there's a joke in the West about a man who gets engaged, and his business partner says, hey, every time you have intimacy, take a jelly bean and put it in this big vessel. Every time. And then when you get married, your goal in life is to take one jelly bean out of the jar when you have intimacy, and good luck if you can empty the jar.
In a year.
And I think that's why men are so freaked out about this issue, and they might be a little overbearing, but we've always told men, you really need to get to know the person, get the mask off, find out what living together looks like, find out what the triggers are, and that's the only way that you can learn what the pattern will be and whether you're comfortable with it. I think if you try and treat it like a prenuptial, where you like lay it out like, hey, X number and X this, and I don't think it sounds controlling.
It will kill the excitement. Because intimacy should comes naturally and not being demanded. So there's a joke here in the Philippines. I was like smiling because I remember it. Like in a woman's side, they will say, oh, men are just good when they're just like courting you. There will be flying petals and flying roses, but when you get married, it's gonna be flying plates, flying saucer, flying glass, and all that. So it's just the same as, you know, as that. So just one thing I want to point is that, let's put this scenario, a woman and a man. The woman keep finding out about her husband cheating. And then her husband will expect her to be intimate with him after finding out that he's cheating. And that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You know, talking about cheating, Chrissy, you have a little side hustle, a gig, where you do open source social media investigations. Men who've met their Filipina, men who've video chatted for weeks and weeks, men who've already sent money, men who've made a best friend online or in person, and you investigate their social media. And the Philippines is #1 in social media. And you have gotten really, really good at this. You've got specialty tools. And there is a link in the description box and the first pinned comment if anybody wants to trust but verify. You know, you would never hire somebody for an important job without doing a reference check, and good best practices dictate you don't do it yourself, because you may have developed a little bias towards your best friend at this point. And we've had very interesting results. We've done hundreds of them now, and it's a 50-50 proposition at best. And many people turn out to be not who they say they are. They turned out to be married. They turned out to be traveling with boyfriends. They turn out to have other foreign boyfriends. And there's a lot going on that it would really be beneficial to know. Or, Chrissy, if she gets a clean sheet, hallelujah, proceed with confidence. That's what everybody really wants to do. We want to step off the airplane knowing that what was out there in public for everyone else to see, we're not the only one who's wearing blinders.
Yeah, I can help you unravel deceits, cheating, and false identity.
Yeah, and I have yet to see a client not thank you at the end of the debriefing. They're always amazed at the relatives and breadcrumbs and cookies and facial recognition tools has turned up. Even on a clean sheet, they're always crazy amazed at how 4 to 6 hours by a professional can really turn up results.
We can help you. Just reach us at flymetothephilippines@gmail.com.
And if you're just getting started, we offer either a 10-minute meet and greet, a 1-hour consultation, or even our big brother, little sister. In a perfect world, Chrissy, everybody would have a big brother and a little sister like you, and they would call up and go, hey, what should I do? How do I do it? Tell me what to do. Tell me, and call up often and text and email, and over 3 to 6 months have a big brother and a little sister. And we've done this with hundreds of men. And every week now we're hearing another client call. We're getting married. The K1's been approved. We're moving in together in Bohol. Why not you? Why would you want to go through this by yourself? Till next time.
Only here from Fly Me to the Philippines.